This episode of Beauty and the Surgeon podcast is brought to you by Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is an online company dedicated to making professional health testing easy and accessible. Let's Get Checked offers fast, affordable, completely confidential at-home health tests from a range of tests from STDs, male and female hormones, and even COVID-19. Listeners of our podcast who are new to Let's Get Checked get 20% off by using our URL, trylgc.com/beauty, and be sure to use the code BEAUTY20 at checkout. That's trylgc.com, trylgc.com/beauty, BEAUTY, and be sure to use the code BEAUTY20, BEAUTY20 at checkout. Do it. Getting tested is important. It's the responsible thing to do, and you know how important I think it is to make sure you understand your labs. Welcome, everyone, to Beauty and the Surgeon podcast. I'm Amy. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I'm joined today, as always, by Dr. Jason Martin. He's a board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon. Dr. Martin, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Amy?
I'm good. I'm excited to do this podcast today because it is part 2 of a podcast we did at the very beginning of 2021. Let's talk about happiness. So if you'd like to watch the slides that go along with this are not that interesting because they're mostly just text, but you can find us on YouTube at Jason Martin MD and on Instagram at Beauty and the Surgeon podcast. If you'd like to watch us, you can watch us. If not, you can just listen.
Yeah.
So our podcast that we did at the beginning of the year talking about happiness, we were really talking about kind of the more esoteric side of like, what is happiness?
Yeah, I didn't think it was esoteric. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, but those are our type of episodes. Like, you got to highlight that first. Some people, we get into the research and looking at all that stuff. So
one thing we did not talk about that episode though, but we did tease it at the end is plastic surgery the key to happiness?
Well, I mean, the cosmetic surgeon, the plastic surgeon, the board-certified plastic surgeon would tell you, of course it is, Amy. Of course it is.
But what does science say? As we found in our last podcast about happiness.
I'm sure the science says no, okay?
Why?
Which just ruins all of our marketing ploys of transformation and pure happiness.
Well, I think that's a really important thing to think about.
I'm sure it's somewhere in the middle. To be honest with you, I've not looked at the slides. I don't know. I'm just like the listener right now.
Right. Well, that's why it's important to think about happiness is not satisfaction. Happiness is not like appreciation. Happiness is not that. Happiness is kind of its own thing. So
it's a state of being happy. How did we describe it in the previous episode? I should look that up.
Yeah.
It was a state of being happy.
Well, and it's basically a combination of how you feel and how your environment interacts.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we said.
Creates happiness.
Yep.
Yeah. But there is actual science on this. There have been actual research articles, multiple countries, those in our own country that have actually looked at the happiness scores of people who have plastic surgery. Keep in mind, and I put this in here for this reason, most people are satisfied with the outcome of their surgery, but satisfaction with the procedure and overall happiness are completely different things. So happiness and being happy with your surgery are not the same. So what we're looking at is if surgery makes people happier, not if they're happy with their surgery.
Right. So if you really break it down from a human level, surgery is not going to make someone happy, just like getting a new car is not going to make you happy or something like that.
What about the hedonic treadmill?
And the hedonic treadmill. But surgery, this is the way I look at it, may be part of a process in your life to achieve your goals and to achieve happiness. But the surgery itself is not the reason for the happiness.
Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. Yeah. So let's first, I broke it down into 4 categories and we'll go through each one of them. The first one, the conclusion from a study done in Norway and then also a review of the Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery Journal, which is the journal we get.
Can't get away from Norway. I know.
We can't.
I know.
Was the conclusion number 1, not at all. Not only will cosmetic surgery not make me happy, but it will also make me feel worse, was the conclusion of these 2 studies. So that's one way to look at this. And the reasons for that were the Norway study basically looked at people with anyone with a pre-existing condition. They didn't just look at people with pre-existing conditions, but they found that anyone with one of these pre-existing conditions, which was anxiety, depression, a history of self-harm, or drug use, showed an increase in symptoms of anxiety, depression, disordered eating, suicide attempts, and alcohol use.
So I have like a huge problem with this. So happiness is one thing, medical conditions are another. So anxiety, depression, people that have a history of self-harm, that's diagnosable.
But it doesn't mean that those people are not happy. You can be anxious and be happy.
No, but the point is that they're saying there's increased symptoms of these medical conditions, but that doesn't have anything to do with happiness. That has to do with surgeons not selecting the right patients.
Well, but again, it did not make them better. That's my point.
Well, it didn't make their anxiety better? No, because there's an organic reason they have anxiety. There's an organic reason you have depression or probably a history of trauma. Drug use, obviously, people are predisposed to that. That's not going to get any better if you do surgery or not.
No, but that's what it showed, that it gets worse.
Yeah, of course.
They had an increase in symptoms.
Yeah, Norway, whatever.
Well, the same thing was mirrored by this. This was a big review of many articles by the Plastic Reconstructive Surgery Journal. And the risks for an unhappy outcome, so people who are going to be unhappy have unrealistic expectations, which is very high risk, motivated by relationship issues or having a partner or parent disagree about their need for surgery. And we see this on both sides, disagreements in relationships. Either one partner is pressuring the other to do surgery or one disagrees with the person's decision to do surgery.
Because
for many reasons.
Oh God, we don't get into it, but you can imagine, why are you getting this surgery? I love you the way you are. Are you not happy with our relationship? I mean, all these kind of things, and people come in with that. Right. FYI, those are all red flags, and Amy and I pretty much categorically say no to everybody like that. So that's why it's so important to actually talk to people before surgery and to really get down to what their motivations are, how they look at things. Sometimes they can trick you, but it's rare.
Yeah. Being male.
Yeah, that's terrible. Male patients are just the worst.
Being young. And the youngness they did not define an exact age. But you think about it, I mean, young people are going to be more prone to
impulsive decisions.
Yeah. Which is going to maybe lead to less feelings of happiness with your decisions. So that was first group of studies. Conclusion number 1. So that's a maybe outcome, that not only surgery didn't make you feel better, but now you just feel worse overall.
I just want to say real quick, what we're talking about here, at least in the Norway study, are organic medical conditions. Clearly, you don't treat anxiety with cosmetic surgery. That's okay.
But people think that they can treat depression with cosmetic surgery.
Right. But that's an organic medical condition. It's not going to get better. The PRS journal one is a little bit better because it's giving all of us, including plastic surgeons, red flags, unrealistic expectations. That's the biggest one. I talk like half the time with our patients about expectations. I'll just say them like 3 times in a row, and they're like, "Why are you saying this over and over?" I'm like, "I just wanted this to get into your brain."
So you might actually remember me saying this.
If anyone says anything about a relationship, I'm pretty much like, "Listen, we got to hold off here, or just figure something out, or just work through this a little bit." Male patients, I have that open discussion with them. I said, like, you are at a high risk for unhappiness with outcomes, because male patients are very difficult in terms of self-perception. And then for sure, young patients, those patients have a tendency to make very impulsive decisions, and you don't want anyone making an impulsive decision to do cosmetic surgery.
No, and unfortunately, the exact opposite is what is pressed by most of the industry, not with board-certified plastic surgeons, but with your not board-certified doctors doing cosmetic procedures. You don't think
board-certified plastic surgeons don't push young people to do surgery?
No, they do, but I'm saying the pressure in media is mostly the very aggressive pressure is coming from clinics, medical spas.
Oh, yeah.
Those kinds of things that are pressuring Instagram stars, YouTube stars. Like, those are the things that pressure people.
Right, and that gets into the slippery slope that young people are just being exposed to all these images, which are basically false, post-produced, or unrealistic.
Yeah.
And then they come in and that's what they want.
Right. I get the results that this person on YouTube got.
Right.
Why not?
And we shoot them down and they just don't go to us. But it's sad.
They go somewhere.
They go somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at the second one. So conclusion number 2 was definitely not.
It's getting worse.
Particularly with 2 specific surgeries. And I didn't bring this up before, but
I could have told you this one though.
What do you, I mean?
The rhinoplasty one, for sure.
And breast augmentation.
Yeah.
Breast augmentation has a pretty long history of showing these types of correlations because it is a surgery that people do impulsively. They also put a lot of pressure on it to make their relationships or their life better. I mean, I can not count the number of women who have expressed their desire to make their breasts larger, to make their husband or spouse more interested in them, to get a husband or a spouse, to attract. I mean, like, it's never ending. So.
It's just so hard when you hear that because like we're so into empowerment and you want the patient to find who they are, what's good for them.
Which isn't to say that that's not good for them.
I know. And there's nothing wrong with having a significant other and wanting to, but it's just so frustrating. This is such a hard thing.
It is. And unfortunately, in a younger population, that's going to be far more prevalent.
Right.
The more pressure you put on your surgery to make you happy, I think probably the less likely it is to actually do that.
Right.
As with anything in life, it's like the more pressure you put on a car to make you happy, the less likely that car is to make you happy. It's going to break. It's going to let you down.
Preach.
So the other one being rhinoplasty.
And that is the worst. So male rhinoplasty over 50 is like the hugest red flag. And that's data driven. those patients universally aren't happy. It's really interesting.
See, and I didn't find that with males over 50.
It
was more the younger males that came up in the studies.
Okay, well, maybe that's the new stuff. But like when I was going through training, that was like the big red flag moment.
Yeah.
So
those two studies are the two surgeries are the number 1 and 2 for unhappy outcomes, essentially. Numerous studies have found higher rates of suicide among women with breast implants, even compared with women who have had other cosmetic surgeries. So this is not just a surgery specific thing. We think, well, okay, well, these women were going to commit suicide where they got tummy tuck or breast augmentation. Like statistically, no, like it's going to be higher for women who have implants. Now, you can argue a lot of things with that, right? Pressure from the industry, pressure from life, like maybe the, proportion of women getting breast augmentation tend to live a riskier lifestyle if you want to go super weird about it. There are a lot of things that I think you might think in your head, but statistically speaking, suicide rates are higher among women who have breast implants.
Yeah.
And that is actual scientific data. Rhinoplasty is the most requested procedure for people with body dysmorphic disorder.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I bet you liposuction is second.
I was going to say, I would say liposuction is definitely number 2.
Yep.
Yep. Patients with body dysmorphic disorder are seldom satisfied with surgery because it does not change their self-perception. And we've seen that in our practice, and are often hopeless or angry after surgery, right? Because now what do they do?
Yep. And then they want to come back and do more surgery and more surgery.
More surgery must be the answer.
And then they'll just go to a different office and a different office and just find someone to say yes.
Yep. And someone will. That's, I think, the main answer to the question of, why does someone look like that or who would do that to them is there's always someone. You'll find someone who will do the surgery you're asking for, but it doesn't mean you should do it.
Yeah, which is really sad, but that's real life.
It is.
Right? Like we need to stop talking around it. There's a lot of people out there doing cosmetic procedures, board certified and usually not board certified, that'll do anything on anyone.
Yep. Do anything for money. It's why celebrities end up looking really odd.
That's why rich people, you think they have all the money in the world, but they'll find someone will take the money.
Yep.
So, which is devastating when you're a prideful surgeon that loves his results and, is proud of all this kind of stuff. And it's very professional, but that's reality. And it's better to talk about it and educate people. Because if you fall into these categories and let's say you're watching this and you still have these struggles, anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, that's not going away just by listening to this, but maybe hearing things like this, or if you knew someone like this, maybe it might get them to take a pause for a second and then seek help. Basically, these people need counseling. They need medical treatment. And it's just devastating to know that something that I personally have such an affinity for, and how we do make people quote unquote happy with our surgeries.
Well, and that's why I said at the beginning, happy with your surgery and happy in life.
No, I know.
Totally different
that
things.
was a joke. That was a joke. But it's, it's hard when you see that it can be so devastating for someone's life.
Yeah. And I by no means mean that these women who are committing suicide are doing it because of their breast implants.
I know.
That's
it's a sub-segmentation. Whenever you take a cohort with statistics, there's it's multifactorial. You can figure out different ways why this is
absolutely.
occurring.
Yeah. The one statistic through all of this I found really shocking was that 40% of plastic surgeons, and this was in a research study by the board, have been threatened by a patient with BDD, or body dysmorphic disorder. And that means verbally, physically, threatened by a patient. So, you have to take a step back and realize that the people who have body dysmorphic disorder, it's a big deal. It's not just someone being vain or someone having unrealistic expectations. This is really real.
Right.
So, and surgeons, definitely know to watch out for it. So, all right, let's take a quick break. A word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
All right.
For 3 and 4. Dr. Martin, I'm super excited to talk about our sponsor for this podcast, Let's Get Checked. If you've been a listener of our podcast, you know that we have never had a sponsor before, and that's because we're an educational podcast. We're not looking to monetize, and we also would never recommend something that we didn't believe in and or use ourselves.
So basically you're saying we're very choosy.
We're very choosy when we come to our testing, but Let's Get Checked really aligns with our values. We talk a lot about monitoring your blood values of certain things. We talked recently about vitamin D serum levels. We talk a lot about hormone levels, and it's hard for some people to get to a lab, or you're afraid of the blood draw, or just, you're concerned about confidentiality. You have a lot of concerns and you just don't do it. Let's Get Checked makes it super easy because it's completely confidential. You do it from your home. So there's really no excuse not to do it.
Yeah, and we did it recently. Both Amy and I did it. She looked at her women's health, basically her hormone levels, and I looked at mine on the men's health side with testosterone. It was very simple. You go online. Their online interface is really easy to use and good. We got the testing kit very quickly, And the test itself, actually doing the stick, you do a stick on the end of your finger, is not hard to do. It only took about 3 to 4 minutes. You put it back in a sealed envelope that's confidential, goes back to them. You get your results in 2 to 5 days. It's really that simple. And the best part is it's about empowerment, about you taking control and trying to do things that are positive for your health and life. And this is one way to do it, literally from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, so they offer a wide range of tests. So they do men's and women's hormone panels. They do a full panel of STD testing. They also are now offering a COVID-19 test at home. So there are a lot of other just basic blood levels that you can get tested as well. And one of the things that we always say is you can't track what you don't check. So you might not know what's normal for you in the future if you're not checking it now, especially as it relates to hormones. And men's health specifically, I feel like is a little bit undertreated. I mean, sperm counts are dropping by a large percentage in men these days. Most men struggle at some point in their lifetime with low testosterone.
And those men do not know what the symptoms of low testosterone are. Depression, anxiety, sleep problems, osteopenia or loss of bone, loss of muscle, and something we treat all the time, gynecomastia or male breast growth. These are real problems that can be improved or treated with testosterone. And these men do not know their levels. It's so easy to get checked. And this is why we're so excited about the sponsor.
Yeah. And Let's Get Checked is a completely CLIA certified lab, the CLIA lab. So they're a well-established, completely safe lab to use. You do get contacted after, so you get your results. I got a text at 4:30 in the morning, which I loved, that my results were ready.
And we're both up at 4:30, so that was good.
Super excited. And you have access to not only a nurse, but also a physician. So a physician does review your results, and it gives you a little breakdown of like where you're sitting on those levels. Dr. Martin's had even comparisons of like where 2 of the levels should be in relation to each other, which is a really important thing to note.
Right.
Just being within the normal range is not always enough. So it really gave more information than that. You'd still want to, of course, reach out to your own doctor if you needed some additional assistance with these labs or you did see something that was concerning. We didn't, thankfully, so that was good.
Yeah. We were both good. This podcast is about empowerment. It's educational. In my private practice, I'm a board certified plastic surgeon. We are all about empowerment, and this is one way to do it. So we're very excited about the sponsorship, and we're looking forward to using it for our patients moving forward.
Yeah. So as a listener of our podcast, if you're also a new time user to Let's Get Checked, which a lot of you probably are, we do have a 20% discount code. So you do need to go to our specific URL, and it is linked in the description box below, but it's going to be TryLGC, so TRYLGC, like Let's Get Checked.com/beauty, BEAUTY. And you'll need to use the code BEAUTY20 at checkout. Beauty again is BEAUTY 220. And you can pick a test, like any test you'd like, put in our code and get your test shipped to you. Getting tested is the right thing to do. It's lets you know where you're at and what's responsible.
All right. Well, let's get tested.
Let's get tested. Let's get checked.
Let's get checked.
All right. So we're back. We're going to do 3 and 4.
I mean, the first part was depressing. Thank God for Let's Get Checked to bring us out of the doldrums of BDD, suicide, and all this kind of stuff. So hopefully what you're presenting next, it has some silver lining, or we may have to quit.
Well, let's look at number 3.
Okay, good.
So number 3, the conclusion was cosmetic surgery will make me happier, plus the boost will stand the test of time.
Yes.
So this is not the hedonic treadmill.
Nice.
So we talked a lot about the hedonic treadmill in our first podcast.
You should listen to that episode. That was such a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but basically, it's this bump you get from big life events: winning the lottery, buying a new car, buying a house, getting married, falling in love, having a baby. Yeah, I'm happy. And then I'm right back to my baseline
like
of being
Beauty and the Surgeon being number 1 in Norway.
That makes me happy. If it was number 1, I think that high would ride for a long time.
It was number 1 in the subcategory of beauty and health.
That was number 3.
Whatever. I say number 1. Who's going to fact check it?
That was $30. So that's great news, right? So it's not just this initial bump you get from like, wow, now my stomach is flat. I'm happy for half a second and then I'm back to being depressed again. So the people that get this bump and the thought process behind it, and this was a big study. So it was from the Clinical Psychology Science Journal. So this was
good. So not a bunch of plastic surgeons patting themselves on the back.
This was not plastic surgeons. So it was 800 people at the start. 544, it was 800 people who were considering surgery. 544 had surgery. 1 year later, all the people who had surgery were more satisfied with their operated on feature, regardless of location, than those who did not have surgery, right? Makes sense. The people who didn't have a facelift still want a facelift. People who did have a facelift are happier that they had a facelift. They like their face better. Surprisingly, many other things improved too, which included attitude, joy in life, self-esteem.
All right.
And life satisfaction.
I'm putting that on the website right now.
Right?
Those 4 words.
all the things that we think in our minds people would have happiness from
Right.
when you make changes in your body, like you were saying, kind of that it does give them that boost of like a positive overall life change.
Right. I tell people with cosmetic surgery, it's not going to change your life, but it's going to give you a little energy to keep going into a positive direction.
Well, or maybe you don't need maybe your life is great and you just want to look better.
Oh, you're such a jerk.
No, but I mean, like we have a lot of
Everyone
patients.
hates the person like, my life is great. I have no problems.
I'm not saying they have no problems. I'm saying you have
I know,
a
I'm
busy
joking.
professional who just needs a facelift. Like,
No,
great.
exactly. Most people are that way.
Nothing wrong with it. I mean,
Most people don't want to drastically change their life. They just want to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that's like realistic, down to earth people. That's most people you see. And a little bit goes a long way for them.
Yep, it does. And the conclusion that they came to is that these positive embodied changes, like plastic surgery, produce more permanent psychological changes than malleable changes like a new relationship or a move.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So like it has that effect because you bring it in as being like part of you
Yeah.
instead of seeing it as like a new object.
Yeah, that's so interesting because it's you.
Yeah.
It's like literally you.
Yeah.
That's
Embodied
cool.
change.
Yeah.
So see, we're getting
Now we're going.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there are people who
Yeah. See, take that Norwegian study. Which one was this? Clinical Psychology Science Journal. That sounds very complicated. I'm going to pull that out of this just randomly pull it out of the party. Be like, I'm just reading an article about plastic surgery and how it makes your life so much better.
right? How it makes you have more joy, improves your attitude.
The Clinical Psychology
Self-esteem,
Science
life
Journal.
satisfaction.
Yeah.
You know, we certainly see that in our patients. I mean, we help them get rid of something that is bothering them in life. Their life is otherwise good.
I would
You know?
say, I mean, our patients tend to be universally happier or pleased with their outcomes.
And again, this is
Please, I know, good, pleased with their outcomes. But I do feel that I get a general sense of, if I'm being honest and transparent, that they get a sense of more, it's additive to their life. That they feel a sense of accomplishment and they feel better.
how long do you think that lasts?
I mean, I feel like, anecdotally speaking, in our experience, it does last a long time, at least when we're seeing the patients. But then again, it's when you're querying patients, are you happy with your results? And
It's not, are you happy in life?
right.
We don't ask our patients when they come in, like, what's your life happiness
Right.
score?
They're not taking some like study.
Right.
So I'm sure, I don't know. I feel like we have a great relationship with our patients. I think they would tell us if they were struggling. I mean, we have an open office and we encourage
Yeah,
that.
but I don't think it's appropriate to tell your plastic surgeon about your personal life struggles that aren't related.
And we don't ask about that.
No, I mean,
so
I wouldn't.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Why you make me feel bad?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm literally just trying,
I'm on a roller coaster here.
right?
I mean, I was
wonder
really
about these
down in the
things,
dumps,
too.
and then we came back up with the Clinical Psychological Science Journal.
Now we just did the loop-de-loop.
Yeah, and then you just brought me back down.
No,
again.
I'm saying that because I really do. It really is an interesting thing to think
Right,
about.
because we really don't know.
No,
because
because
we're
our
not at home
patients-
with these people.
No, and of course our patients are happy with their surgery. You know, yeah, their surgical result is great. They're super happy with it. Even the people who have something that we need to adjust or fix, like those people are happy with their surgery.
Right,
And that's what we talk to them about.
and that's what I
you know?
hold on to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
You know, so they're happy with their surgery.
But they seem enriched above and beyond just being happy with the result. There is something tangible when you talk to a patient who's pleased with the results, that they seem fuller, and I don't mean, no pun intended, with breast augmentation, but they seem like they are more enriched. There's something more there. And it's hard to describe that because it's not like quote unquote happiness. And it's not obviously meaning. You don't get meaning from cosmetic surgery. It seems like they have a little wind in their sails. Yeah. Definitely. And maybe that's just them in front of me because they're pleased with the results and they want to tell me, get it across to me, and they're vibrant and they're energetic. But I don't know.
But the study does show that it does improve self-esteem in some people. So
Right.
yeah. Like those effects are real. I mean, my question about how long does it last? I mean, that's really just me asking you. Like,
I don't
how
know.
long do you
I
think that
don't know.
lasts?
I don't
You know, I mean, I think it goes both ways. I've definitely seen our patients years later who, you know, are not in a great place because of a surgery they did before and now want to do something else that more embodies who they are now. You know, maybe they were pressured into having a breast
Yeah,
augmentation.
we get that
you know?
a lot.
Yeah. So
That's a really good one. Like they have too big of implants. They
Yeah.
don't feel like it represents them and who they are, and they want to downsize.
yeah.
That's so many patients like that's a good one.
Yeah. So I think, you know, where you are, and that we talked about with happiness, it's transient. You know, too happy is a bad thing. Being happy all the time or in inappropriate situations is not good. Like that's like psychopaths, like people who get joy out of watching, you know,
Yeah,
bad
and
things
it's
happen.
annoying. You know, like can you stop being so happy?
Yeah. So, you know, you have to, I think that's
Sorry.
true of surgery too. Like it does it enrich your life in that moment? Like, yeah, you know, how long that lasts for? Like, how long does anything last for?
That's person dependent. Yeah.
I agree. So yes, like embody your change. Like let it make you happy. All right, let's look at number 4. So number 4 is maybe not.
Ugh.
Maybe. So cosmetic surgery may not make me happier, but and this is my favorite, it will take away one of my problems. And I think that is, to me, that's why I put this as number 4, because this embodies all the other studies, right? And what we've been saying all along. So does the surgery make you happier as a person? Maybe. But what I wrote here, I got 99 problems, but my belly fat ain't one.
Right.
You take care of a problem and it's just gone.
And I say that all the time to people. I'm glad that this has some basis somewhere, because I tell them, I say, look, at least get something off your plate.
Yeah, just stop thinking about it.
And according to Amy, life's not hard, but most people, they're struggling a little bit. Okay, I know. They're struggling a little bit, and it's really nice to take something that really does bother them personally, take it off the table. They don't have to worry about it anymore, and it's for them, right? It's for them themselves. Hopefully it's not external, but I mean, there's external benefits, but it's for them and their self-perception. I love that. That's pure. That's a gift that I can give my patients. Obviously, they're paying for it, so it's like a weird gift that they pay for. That's not a gift then? That's a product I'm selling to them, a service. But I feel like it's a gift that I can give to them to make their life more enriched.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm just saying that I agree with this assessment. It's not, and I tell people all the time, it's not going to change your life. The relationship problems aren't going away. Kids are going to still be difficult and messed up, during COVID times, blah, 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 all this stuff still exists. But at the very least, this little problem here, you can get that off the table. And that is a worthwhile investment, both financially and for your time.
Yeah. And
done correctly.
We have a lot of patients. It's common, that they come in and have been, unhappy with something for a very long time, right? They're haven't liked their nose since they were a child. Their ears have protruded since they were a child. They can't stop, they've had this spare tire that they can't get rid of, and it's all they think about. So when you take that away in a normal, healthy person, you fix their ears, you pin their ears back, they just accept what they have now as their reality. So they stop thinking about it, right? Your ears don't stick out anymore. You stop checking yourself in the mirror 1,000 times a day because your problem is gone. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wrote here, people who are naturally slim rarely think about weight loss because they don't have to. Once your protruding ears are pinned back, it becomes a non-issue because you just don't have to think about it anymore. That's how a lot of people, that's how their surgery is. Like, great, we put something back to where it used to be. You didn't have all this excess belly skin before you had kids. You have it after. Now we take it back. So now what? Your life is just like it was before. It's just the same.
Right.
You're
blowing my mind here.
Yeah. But if we want to get into this was also from the Clinical Psychology Science Journal study, showed that body image investment decreased after surgery, indicating that after surgery, people thought about their problem very less and became less preoccupied and invested in their appearance.
And they started to spend their money elsewhere, probably in places that doesn't make them happy either.
Well, or I call it the stars in the sky with our patients. I've said this before on the podcast.
Everybody, we get this all the time.
Like, oh my gosh, that worked. And that's, I think.
And then they start staring somewhere else.
Like now it's something else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I make the joke always. I'm like, well, this is okay because this is why my kids are going to college. Everybody keeps wanting to come back for more surgery. But you got to cool down a little bit. What do you tell them? How do you tell them to cool down? Just to take a deep breath here. We don't need to keep doing more surgeries. Just take our time.
You can always do more. That's what I tell people. You can always do more, but it's to what you need and what's right.
Yeah.
And I think this actually breaks one of the myths of surgery is that, or the plastic surgery. A lot of people assume that anyone having plastic surgery is incredibly vain, is extremely self-centered, is vapid, is all these things. And what this study really showed us, that's not true.
No, not at all. And we don't see that in our office. Rarely do you see that. Now, maybe we have a certain type of office, but I would say it is rare to get a very...
Oh, we've got them.
I know, but it's rare to get a very self-absorbed, vapid, vain person in the office. It's not common.
It's not the bulk of our patients by any means. I mean, they exist, but that's just life. I mean, people are still people. People who get surgery are still people. They're moms, they're dads, they're whatever. Yeah. They're on the struggle bus with me. Did you not realize I am driving the struggle bus?
Yeah.
No.
I just said the same thing about politicians, and the person raised their eyebrows. I'm like, across all sectors.
Yeah,
they're
people are people. Doctors.
People are messed up.
Well, I mean, people are people.
Exactly. Surgeons. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we're all just people. And I think that's why I put this study last, because to me, that's what it is. People who get surgery are just people. If you have terrible depression before surgery, you're going to have terrible depression after surgery. That's, like you said, that's a medical problem. That's not from the surgery. It just, 99 problems.
99 problems.
Let's fix those ears, and then you got one less.
That's Jay-Z's best song.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
it is.
Is that his favorite of yours, or is it?
That's tough.
It's a Hard Knock Life.
Hard Knock Life is
Yeah.
really high up there. But see, now the whole time I hear Hard Knock Life, I just think of it being sung by Mini-Me and Dr. Evil.
Oh yeah.
So it's really hard for me to separate those. It's like when Weird Al does a song that just becomes so ingrained in the song
And then you
itself.
start singing the Weird Al version.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how I am with Hard Knock Life now.
I know.
I see them in their little prison yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mini-Me. Well, on that note, so thank you everyone so much for listening. I hope that this kind of helps you have a realistic view of what to expect from surgery and happiness.
Yeah, it's not going to make you happy, but it will enrich your life. It can get problems off your plate. It can make you have better self-perception and body image. What was one of the other things?
Joy.
And it can give you joy.
And better attitude.
And a better attitude.
Yeah.
So I think that's a net positive.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
So we're not all bad. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all just people too.
Good.
So thank you everyone so much for listening. We would really appreciate it if you would leave us a like, comment, a rating, a review, and share us with your friends. It does really help us. Helps more people find our podcast if you enjoy it. Also, this is the moment in time where I ask people to leave me voicemails. We do have
This
a
is so
voicemail line set up.
desperate. You're so desperate.
It's not. They're going
We're
to be
not
rolling
desperate people.
in.
I'm a successful plastic surgeon. I
Voicemails-
don't need to ask people to call me. They call me anyways.
They're going to be rolling in with questions.
Okay.
So if you have a question and you'd like to hear it
Please.
answered on our podcast, you
Yeah.
can leave us a voicemail. That
We
number is
got one.
It's in the show notes. We did. That number is 303-630-9038. And I would love to hear your questions. Answer them on a future episode of Beauty and the Surgeon podcast.
Right.
So thank you everyone so much for listening. I'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked offers fast, affordable, and completely confidential health testing for everything from STDs, male and female hormones, and even COVID-19, right from the comfort of your own home. And remember, new customers and listeners of our podcast get 20% off by using our URL, trylgc.com/beauty, and be sure to use the code BEAUTY20 at checkout. That's trylgc.com/beauty and use the code BEAUTY20, beauty, BEATUY 20 at checkout. Get checked. It's the right thing to do.